Hey guys, welcome. Today we'll be talking on our new podcast, Hot Hands, Hot Takes, where we talk about everything related to Valorant. Today we'll be talking about patch 2.02 and discussing some of the changes that happened now that we're a couple days out and we can kind of see what the overall impact of that was. Today I have my guests Harry, aka Azaz, and Grizzy, aka Grizzy.
Wow. I'm
What's
not
up,
gonna go
guys?
by Cam, aka Grizzy. Wow.
No, you're going by Grizzy, aka Grizzy. Harry, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, my name's Harry. My in-game name is Azez. I was gonna do some cringe intro, but I'll keep it at that. I've been playing FPS games for I don't know, like 11 years now, since like 2010, and yeah, that's about it. That's all there really is to it. I don't really have much to say besides that.
Okay, well, what rank are you? What teams do you
Oh,
play
I
on?
thought he was
Like,
about to
talk.
flex the range.
Yeah,
Oh,
bro, come
okay.
on, man. You're a
All
good
right, all
player.
right. Well, I'm Immortal right now, and I was Immortal 3 last act. And I switched to from CS to this game around like August maybe of last year or whatever. I don't know. I really enjoyed the game when it came out, so I switched to it, and I initially started playing like Sova and stuff like that. But now I just kind of like fill anything, and yeah, that's about really it. I mean, there's not much more to it.
He plays on a competitive team at CSU. He
Oh,
also
oh yeah, I
plays.
do play
Yeah.
on the CSU team, and I'm also on another team, and we're trying to play in the Valorant Champions Tour qualifiers. So
There we
there's
go.
that as well. But yeah, so nothing too crazy, nothing too special yet.
Nothing too crazy.
Awesome. Grizzy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Alright, I'm Grizzy, aka Grizzy. I I've been I've been playing FPS for like, I don't know, ever since I've had a PC at like age 6. I was a former Overwatch top 500 player back in season 3. Um and then now I just been transferred over to Valorant ever since launch. Previous Immortal 1 player, currently Diamond 3 working up to that. I play for the CSU team, and I have another team that I play for, but nothing special.
Gotcha. And then
Alright.
my name's Caleb. My in-game name is not something I want to say out loud, but I will. It's Cdogdagamer. I also play for the CSU team. I peaked at like D3 last season, and I also played competitive League of Legends for multiple years. I played for our varsity team and traveled to Vegas to play on a big stage and won some money, so that was fun. Besides that, I've transferred over to Valorant pretty much completely, and I've been playing with the CSU team ever since. And I will be the host for this podcast. So thank you for anyone who's listening in. And without further ado, let's get started. So, patch 2.02. This is the big changes to the inaccuracies with weapons while moving, and as well as some
Rifles
rank changes.
specifically.
Yeah. So, first off, do you guys like? Can you guys even tell the difference?
Yeah, all right, so let me just get into this real quick. So the first day it was kind of sick. Like everybody else, like all these Fortnite and Overwatch players were running around like, dude, my gun doesn't fire. Like what's going on? Like stuff that I was doing before, like what isn't working or whatever. Like people would always complain about that. But like anybody that played CS and Counter Strafe properly, like was getting so many like frags that they would definitely not be getting in the previous patch because other people were just running and gunning and spraying people down. But after these few days, like I feel like everything's settled down and everybody's kind of like back into the groove. And it made me realize that running and gunning is still like a huge problem. Like I'm still getting like two tapped from like a phantom running and gunning from far away. Like for example, on Icebox mid, like people are just sprinting across and holding left click and getting kills, and Haven long A, long C, like all that. It's like it's definitely not fixed. Like they need to up the inaccuracy. Like you shouldn't be able to hold left click and sprint with a rifle and get all these kills that all these people are getting. Like it just doesn't really belong in a tactical game. So yeah, you could definitely notice the difference, but it's not big enough to where it's actually like a good change. Especially when their meta is like 4 spies on second round. Like literally everybody's got a stinger second round. Like the economy is kind of just in a really, really, really shitty state right now. like everybody just has stingers half the game. Like it doesn't really feel like you ever have a full buy round against a full buy
Well, that actually goes into
ever.
a topic that I want to talk about later, which is the whole meta around I guess the stinger because it's just so good. But we'll go on to that later, Grizz. Have you actually noticed the change at all to running and gunning?
No. But I haven't actually really played much since the patch just launched. But like I was going on a lot of social media, like TikTok, and like a lot of people are still posting about like how it's actually like a flat system. So I can't personally vouch for it, but like there's just even in the community itself, I just been noticing people are still complaining how like it's an issue. And I mean, just last night, of course, it wasn't a rifle, but like going back to like Harry with a stinger meta, just because people have, I think it shouldn't be the whole rifle selection. I think it needs to be across like all the SMGs, even the frenzy, because the running and gunning with the pistol meta on that is insane. I think just overall, like all the guns need to have movement there. If you're gonna nerf one thing, you should probably
Yeah,
nerf it all.
it feels like the CZ from Counter Strike, like 2015, 2014, like, and the Tech 9. Like it's like a combination of both in that it's full auto, but it feels like the Tech 9 in that it's fully accurate while you're running. Like you're not just shooting 12 bullets or 6 bullets and like getting a kill. Like you're shooting like 13 or 4. Like I think it has 13 bullets in it or whatever, or maybe
Yeah,
even has
13 or
Yeah,
12.
no, I
15,
think it's
Yeah, I think
13.
or
it's.
is it 12?
I'm pretty
I
sure
think
it's
it's.
13.
Yeah, I was like skewed towards 13 or 15, but either way, you're like shooting it, and you can have 3 bullets in that gun and still pretty much guarantee that you're gonna get a kill because
While moving. Like,
it's like the new classic. It's
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. Like every game that I've played, majority of the people have frenzies pistol round and second round too. Like there's no more like people save like a ghost and like just buy ghost armor second round. I've noticed people will force a friend or like will have a frenzy or like will force a stinger. It's like you have 3 stingers, 2 frenzies on like second round. Like, but that's like there needs to be guns that counter rifles because then it's just not exciting. It's just like race to get rifles and then economy management actually matters. But at the same time, you can't have these rifles be so OP while also having everything else be so OP because then there's like no point in like there's no like meta in what rifle to buy. You could literally have any gun and win any round, which is good, but like it's too OP to the point where you can win literally any round with anything.
well, the problem for me is also the cost of these weapons. So like,
Yeah.
okay, going on to like the Stinger and the Frenzy. One, the Frenzy is just better than the Ghost, and it's 100 credits cheaper. So you can buy the Frenzy and light armor. It's one of the reasons why like the Ghost being $500 was so impactful was because you could buy the Ghost, but you would never be able to buy Light Shield if you did. And there was even times where like people would buy Ghosts and then give them to their teammates who had already bought light armor just so they could have like that advantage, but there's no reason
Yeah.
to do that anymore. It's like the frenzy's just better than the ghost in most
Well,
regards.
I
Like,
literally just played a game and I've bought Ghost for the past like 4 or 5 pistol rounds that I've played, like in the past, like literally today. And every single time, one of them I got a 3K. One of them I got 2 kills and then hit a guy for 105. One of them I hit 3 people for 105, and then one of them I just hit fucking everybody for like 90. Like you literally can't like when people are just running and jumping around, it's kind of impossible to get those one taps in the first place. But when you're hitting people for 105 and they're not dying on pistol, and you're buying this expensive pistol, like what's the point of buying it when you can just buy a frenzy, camp in a corner, and then wait for them to push you and get a 3-man spray down?
that's also
Like yeah,
another
the
big
price is a
thing.
huge issue, and I think it's perpetuated by Omen's blind being so much more. Like you have people playing Omen that are now buying blind and frenzy, or just buying frenzy armor. Like that's kind of
Yeah, I've been
like the
seeing a
main
lot of
meta.
frenzy armor. Like if people don't
Yeah,
know how to play their character's abilities, like it seems just like that. At least the ranked default is frenzy armor, and then we'll
yeah.
worry about abilities like
Most
the next round.
specifically, like Jet players. I see Jet players. I see a lot of Reyna players now for going a flash instead of buying like Ghost Flash and a second dismiss. They're buying just like Frenzy armor, or they're buying Frenzy and like 3 devours or whatever. And then I see Jet players buying Frenzy armor. Like when I play Jet, I normally buy a util with a Frenzy, but like most people I see now are not like keeping the classic. They're just going straight with like frenzy armor. That's it, no util. Like because I guess they just don't see the use of her util, and it always seems to work out.
Well, my biggest issue, right, is like when you have all these guns like the frenzy and the stinger, which are so accurate while you're moving, it kind of brings the pace of the game really far up when it shouldn't be. like everyone's running, making it harder to use these weapons that require pinpoint accuracy, like the Ghost, like you mentioned earlier, Harry. So like if you can't like hit people who are just constantly moving, why would you buy the Ghost, which rewards accuracy, when you should buy the Frenzy, which
Yeah.
rewards tracking and being able to like, I guess like lock onto a person while you're also moving. It just
Well,
makes you easier to like. It makes it harder to get hit when you're moving, and then you're also perfectly accurate with the Frenzy. So it's like, why would you ever stop to like?
it's diminished. It really depends actually what site you're playing on. Like for example, like the pistol round that I went like crazy with the Ghost like today. I was playing on it was a site on Ascent, and I had Killjoy with me, and I was playing Brim. So we had like 3 mollies to stop their rush, and we smoked off a main. So when they were jumping out, it was kind of free kills because they have to jump through the molly anyways, and they can't really like be accurate while taking aim punch from all the mollies. So like it works there. But like if you don't have stopping power like that, like if you just have like you're playing Omen, you just have smokes or whatever in a blind, like it literally does not matter. It does not matter. They're gonna make it out of your smoke and your blind, and they're just gonna be able to left click like spray you down. Like it's just WM1 pyro. Like yeah, that's all it is.
Oh my
So
god.
yeah, it really just depends on what util you have and stuff like that. But yeah, there's almost no point in buying the Ghost. Like I just thought like I'll give it a try. No, bad idea.
What would you guys change if you guys could about the Frenzy?
Oh,
I guess because we're just talking about the Frenzy
frenzy,
right now.
slower fire rate. Um,
I think it's
and
accuracy.
it should be 500.
I
I think it needs to have like a more punishable aim, personally.
It needs to be comparable to the Ghost. It needs to be 500, and it needs slower firing rate. I feel like the Ghost should be 500 as well, and you should have 2 options in that range. Because like there's no comparable gun in CS to the Ghost besides the USP, but you get that on pistol round for free, or you get it every round for free if you have it on. So I think that that's a good switch. And then I think another thing as well would be to either decrease some agents' utility costs or increase the price of second round guns.
I could see
Because then
that.
that makes people have to like want to. Because in CS, sometimes people will save $100 or $200 on pistol round. So it makes people want to save that money instead of spending all their money on a frenzy or spending all their money on a ghost. Like it makes people go, okay, if I have 200 extra and we win this round, then I can go ahead and get a stinger if it was 1200, which I think it should be.
That's
Yeah, no,
actually a really good idea.
Stinger price needs to be changed. But my big thing with the Frenzy, there's actually two really big components, and one of them you already touched on, which is the price, right? I think it absolutely should be 500. Like at a minimum, it should be 500.
Yeah.
But then besides that, there's actually a really big thing about the Frenzy that I feel like not a lot of people really like. Like people
Oh,
abuse it, but they don't really like. No one really thinks like it's a problem, and
I
I
have.
do.
I think I know what you're about to say. Is it
The
the ammo?
reload speed
Oh,
on the Frenzy is ridiculous. You can unload your clip and reload it in like half a second. There's no in between time. Like you just unload your clip, instantly reload it, and then you just go back straight to
see,
spraying and praying.
I think it should be more that. Yeah, the reload is kind of too quick, but some like I said with the fire rate, that should be reduced, kind of like the CZ. The other thing I think they need to do is make, like I said, make it 500, or they could keep it at 400 and then just make it so it only has 2 magazines, kind of like the CZ. Like the
Yeah,
CZ
yeah,
literally only has 24 bullets. Like I think that that is a necessary change, so then you can't just rely on having a pistol that you can just spray the entire time. Like you have to be, you can spray people down, but you can't spray smokes with that thing. Like it's kind of just like yeah,
yeah.
it's too
Reducing its
OP.
ammo capacity is a pretty good nerf, I think, too. Because like
Yeah,
then you have to be very careful with when you're spraying, right? Because you
I think
can't
it
just
just
like do it whenever.
pull out time should be like there's not an issue yet where it's like the CZ where like people are playing with the op and they're like pulling out the frenzy. But like back in CS in like 2014, people would literally just like they'd pull out the CZ in the span of like half a second or like a quarter of a second or whatever it was, and you just have a rifle in your hands when you're opping. Like you literally have an op and a rifle in your hands. I feel like a lot of people, like the meta's going to shift and people are going to start using the frenzy with the op at the same time. Like again, I haven't seen many people do that. But until then, I don't think that they need to change the pullout time. But that's like a further nerf if they really need to nerf it, because I still see this thing being like super OP.
Okay, I completely agree, but I actually want to move on to our next, I guess to like the next,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
topic, but like I want to talk about the Stinger. I think the Stinger is way more
Yeah.
problematic than the Frenzy.
I don't think
Personally,
Personally,
it's I don't think it's problematic. I think what's more problematic. Actually, I do think it's problematic. I think they just need to up the price to 1200, reduce the fire rate just a little. So now, like the current Stinger, like how fast it shoots, should shoot that fast with a brim stim,
So
or
50% is
with
what you're saying?
yeah. And then the other thing that I think they need to do is they need to buff the accuracy of the Spectre, because no one, people that buy the Spectre, like people just stare at you like, why would you buy that? Like you're
Yeah,
gaining nothing.
the Spectre's
Yeah, no.
completely obsolete to the Stinger now.
And that's the thing is, I think both of them should kind of have like a place on the SMG list, as like the Stinger should be like the lower eco. Like you buy this one like you don't have enough money, I guess, for a Spectre, and then the
Yeah.
Spectre should be like, I need an eco weapon that's not a rifle because I can't buy it, right? Or like I need a save for next round, so I need something to be able to take on rifles, and
There's
that's
just
like,
too much space because it's not like CS where you have different guns per side. Everybody has the same access to the guns. It would make sense if the CTs could get the Spectre, or attackers could get the Stinger, and defenders could get the Spectre. And they both kind of did the exact same thing, except the Stinger where it is right now. It's a little cheaper, and the Spectre is like say 1400 or 1300, and the Stinger like you increase the price to 1200. But the Spectre, the new one, should definitely like have a decreased price, and it should have an increased fire rate. Like they should be similar enough. One has a silencer, so you can spray through smokes, which benefits the CTs, and one does not, but is a little more accurate when you're running.
hmm. See,
Uh,
oh, you go, Grizz.
I was gonna say I kind of agree on that. I mean, I don't think the Spectre is like a huge problem because like, or not the Spectre. Sorry, the Stinger was a huge problem, but I think it's only a problem because it's kind of like the go-to SMG, and I think they gotta find a way to like put the Spectre back into place
It's
in
mainly
some sort of
because
way.
of the price, but it's also just so OP. Like it's
Yeah,
just there's too many
six hundred
cooks.
dollar
It's
difference in an SMG is
Yeah. I mean that's
It's
pretty much like a sheriff. That's 200
it's
credits
too
off of a
many cooks.
sheriff.
It's too many
Yeah.
cooks. Like imagine in CS, have you ever seen anybody buy a Bison in a pro match? Maybe
No.
twice. You ever seen anybody buy like the MP9 was big, the UMP was big, the whatever the other ones are, where like the MP5 was almost never big. The MP7 was big, but they always have like one meta SMG. Like there's never like a choice. Like I'm gonna buy the Mac 10 or I'm gonna buy the MP7. Like it was always like I'm buying the UMP, I'm buying the Mac 10, or I'm buying the MP7 all at different times.
Yep.
There's never like one gun, or there's always one gun that's meta.
yeah.
And that's the issue here. And like you kind of ruin the buy menu by separating which SMG can be bought on which side. But I feel like if you make it more beneficial to each side and make it not purchasable by one of the other sides, like it kind of it forces people to have to like stick with one gun. You know what I mean? Like it makes it so there's no choice and there's no obsolete gun.
My biggest issue is the Stinger's just way too cheap. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know we've talked about
That's
it,
the
but
biggest
like, dude,
issue.
the Stinger being 1,000 credits is ridiculous. You can pretty much full
Yeah.
buy for 2K, and if you wanted to do light armor in a Stinger, that's only 1,400. You could literally
Yeah.
destroy riflers for like no money at all. You
I think
literally
they
make
just
that whenever you lose a round. Like you
they
could
should
buy that every
remove the
round.
right click. I think the right click shouldn't be 3 round burst and it should be slower, but it shouldn't be 3 round burst. Like there should be no 3 round burst on the rifle because or on the Stinger. Like it's literally just a rifle when you do that. Like
Yeah,
I've killed so many people from like on ascent. Like you peek from tiles on T side or attack side, you can kill somebody on catwalk with a Stinger in one right click burst.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
don't have
With head
that.
armor. That shouldn't be
Even if
allowed.
it's not one right click, then the second shot on it because it's
Yeah, it's
the
so
delay between the
accurate.
bursts that like they could even kill you in two bursts. That's happened to me a lot where like
Yeah.
it's back to back that like two bursts does the job too. So you think like removing alternate fire? Because I think just honestly
think
like
there
in that
should
case
be.
like they should just make it so the burst is way separated, kind of like what they did back in Call
Yeah.
of Duty like 2 or 3 years ago with M16. It used to be like back to back to back to back, but then they had to put a little bit of a
I
gap
feel
between
like
the shots.
I don't
I feel
know.
like there's no kind of like clean solution to it besides either removing it completely and making it like a shotgun where you just can't aim down sights, or adding it so the right click doesn't aim down the sight, it just 3 round bursts, but you don't aim down the sight,
That'd be
which means
weird.
that it's yeah, it would be weird, but that also means or it just changes fire mode. But it means that there's a delay or not a delay, but there's like a buffer between being able to use a rifle and an SMG at the exact same time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have to aim down the sights, but it takes literally like a millisecond. Not really. It takes like 30 milliseconds, but still,
I
like
just
you
want the
shouldn't.
price to increase.
Yeah,
I think like if you
Yeah,
change the price by you made it like 1300 or something like that, it would
yeah.
just like you would either A, knock it out of the meta completely, or it'd still be a viable option like
But
that you
you're
can
not
like a
getting
spray and
fucking friends, or sorry, you're not getting Stinger force buys every single round. Like
yeah,
second round is so up in the air. Like you shouldn't be rewarded for
for force buying after
losing
losing.
pistol 0 to 5. Like the other team has 5 people alive, and you lose everybody, and you lose second, and like the enemy team forced, and they have 5 people alive, and then third round you're going in with SMGs, and they have 4 rifles, and they forced 2 rounds. Like it shouldn't be like that. Like forcing on a lose after losing on pistol round, it should not be rewarded with rifles on third.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And
And it
that goes
just
back to like making people have to save money on pistol if they really want to do that, and it changes the frenzy meta. Like everything is kind of like intertwined like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. And like
So
the Stinger being as strong as it is and being as cheap as it is kind of gives this meta of running and gunning too. And like yeah, there's still the problem with the rifles, but I actually think that's for a separate reason. I think that's because of the animation and how it looks to other players when you're actually stopping. Like your animation doesn't happen soon enough.
yeah,
Um, but
well,
but even then,
yeah,
right? Like that's a side topic. The big thing here
it's
is
just
like the Stinger
the,
itself. If it gets like brought down a peg, I think we'll see kind of a whole meta shift in terms of that whole
yeah.
running and gunning, and we'll go back to more rifles.
But
Same thing
with
with
the
the frenzy.
rifles, it's just like I don't see enough people like just like pieing a corner. Like no one's just like counter strafing around a corner to check stuff like safely. Like people are literally just wide swinging every single angle, and that's what people mean by running and gunning. Like people aren't making these smart peaks. Like they're not getting a teammate to hold an angle after they've cleared it so they can go further. They're just wide swinging and clearing everything at once, knowing that if they see anybody, they can just stop on a dime and just kill anybody.
Yeah,
And it is like exacerbated by like Reyna and Jet, because like you can just swing anything and get out of like dodge as soon as you get a kill. Like you don't have to worry about not clearing an angle. You get that kill, someone can shoot you, but you're out of there. Like you dash out, you dismiss out. Like you're not getting like you're not getting traded.
I completely agree.
It's like a
And
huge issue with that as well.
Reyna and Jet being like okay, this brings me on to my next topic, right? The current state of like high ranked play is Reyna Jet and like Raze too.
Are we talking ranked or are we talking like team play?
I think both, right? I
Let's
think
touch both. Let's touch both.
let's
We'll
touch
talk
both.
about both. Let's go with ranked first though.
Okay, so
So
like
yeah,
in
I want to
ranked,
say
like
ranked more.
Reyna and Jet are just like the best agents you can pick, like for yourself to climb. They just are.
um I agree. I feel like once you get to a higher rank, anybody's viable. The only issue is with these ranked, like right now, like especially like higher ranks, like I'll get a game with like 4 or 5 pros, and then I'll get a game with 3 diamond 1s on both teams. Like, and when you get those games and they're insta locking these duelists, like, yeah, you put the weakest link on the duelist, they'll be able to frag out, but you can't play Phil. Because if you play Phil, like, yeah, you can play Phil, but you're not winning the game for your team because your team is either just baiting as a duelist or they're losing every duel. Whereas if you're playing at a higher level, like with pros, you can play anything. And because everybody's kind of like on the similar level, where people aren't doing these dumb things and your teammates aren't insta dying and you have to entry as Killjoy or like Breach, like anybody becomes viable. Like at this the top level, anybody can play anything. Like I've seen people play like 3 controllers and win a game, but like only at the top level. But I've never seen 3 controllers at like the lower levels actually do anything. It's always just like smokes everywhere, everybody gets lost, game is over because you have no stopping power.
Yeah, I agree. Grizz, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on like I guess like the state of ranked, at least where you're at right now, right? Because like in my opinion, my matches are all over the place. I get matched with like fucking former immortals like 2 games in a row and like high diamond players and high immortal players, and then the next game is like I have a gold in my lobby. It doesn't make sense.
I've had golds on my team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's like
Um, I don't know. Ranked is a very skeptical system. I feel like yeah, duelists are like a powerhouse actually, especially I mean as a Sentinel player and how much they kind of keep nerfing Sentinels and because of the nerfs on Sentinels, I'm not saying the nerfs are bad, but it's causing duelists to excel more. Um, like the big one is like I kind of slowly see more benefit in Killjoy on most maps now than Cypher because if there's any jets on the enemy team, my Cypher traps are almost practically like rendered useless. Or like a Raze will throw a nade in what she believes is the general direction or satchel charge, and that takes out all my traps once again. Like they made it so trying to be smart with the already crappy trap placements for Cypher is super punishable. Like my traps, like they don't even give me knowledge anymore because they just get shot out instantly because it just takes one ability. It's not even a one bullet thing, which I think that's what it should be. Um, so I just see like at least in ranked play, a lot more people thriving with duelists because sentinels are just getting trashed on. Minus Sage, there's been like a because of the weird buff that they did with Sage, like what 2 patches ago.
She's kind of been
Um,
resurging. It's
yeah,
good.
she's been resurging a little bit.
Sage has
Which
been
is
around
also
in
causing
ranked
like
for a while though.
Especially in
yeah.
Icebox too. Yeah.
But we've been
Yeah.
seeing like a lot of the two Sentinel metas like lately. At least like in my ranked play,
Yeah.
and it's like it's interesting because again, I don't feel like like I think it should be a one Sentinel meta right now because the way of like having multiple flashes or multiple initiators like to get onto a point is like I think personally more beneficial.
I think double
Unless you're starting
Sentinel
on.
is
Oh,
like a
sorry.
No, no, you're good. You're good. I think double Sentinel is like a crutch though in ranked because people aren't playing them right. Like I see a lot of Sage players, especially on Icebox, but like I'll use Ascent for an example. I see a lot of people play Sage on Ascent, and the best Sages that I've seen take A main control and they just wall it off, or they take B main control and wall it off. But I see a lot of people will just wall it off in the beginning. The enemy team comes up, shoots the wall, done. Like your Sage wall is just ruined now. Like you have nothing you can do. Some people will wait until the push comes in, and then they have like their double sentinel on one side, or they split the sentinels up. But I never see people using the sentinel the proper way, which is to like guarantee map control. Like you could like breach flash into A main and then put the sage wall all the way at that wall, right? You just don't see that at ranked, and you don't see that in like team play either in like North America. Like people in Europe are doing that shit all the time, and it's so OP. But it's like it's kind of like it's a huge crutch. It's like bigger. It's a bigger crutch than what people think. Like the op is. Like people are just using it because it's an impenetrable wall for what 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Like I think it's 30.
Yeah,
Like
but
that's
like
like the main thing I
I think
see.
it's such a easily like diffusable crutch. Like at least
Yeah.
as you get higher rank,
Well,
like
yeah,
every time someone sees like you said earlier a sage wall, they just shoot it out or
yeah.
like
And it's
eh,
easy to predict where they're gonna go if
Dude,
they're just putting it down.
people who sage wall on split every round in mid
Yeah.
are just monkeys, in my opinion. Like you place your wall at the very beginning of the round, and then the other team catches onto it. And they just start shooting it out like every single round. And it's like, yeah, you could
See,
peek from on top of your wall, but you also die, and then you've given up mid, and now you're just a useless
what I
character.
see
Like,
a lot of people that are what I've seen in the past day or two is people will go into B main and they'll put the wall down for pistol. And that was like meta before when you played Sage on split. But what I saw the other day, dude, like best Sage player I've like played against, I think. This kid put the wall down in B main, like super deep or like super close to the site on defense side. So whenever we'd peek, he'd be playing a different off angle. So one of them, he got like raised satchel boosted into like a really weird off angle. Another one, he left a miniature gap in it. Another one, he put it somewhere like so it glitched down. So there was a head glitch for him like in another spot. And another time, he just walled himself in and just walked in the main. Like there are some smart plays around it. It's just people don't really utilize it properly. They just see the wall and they're like, all right, this is gonna stop the rush. And I think that's what the issue is with Sage in like low ranks right now, or like Sages in general. People just see like the wall and they're like, this is gonna stop everything. But there's so many ways that you could play with it and be creative that just like secure rounds that like I don't think I see when I get into those games where people don't have like immortal act ranks or like immortal 2 like below. Anybody that's like Radiant and stuff like that I see or Immortal 3, they're at least like using it a little more creatively.
hmm and dude, I like. I don't know. I actually think Sage is in a really good spot right now. I think she's like
Yeah.
pretty. I think she's like strong, but like pretty well balanced. And I think out of all the Sentinels, I think I'd prefer to have either. I definitely Killjoy or Sage. I think Cypher is like does not do his job right on like
Um,
holding pushes. Like yeah, he can put up the smoke or whatever, and then like that kind of stops it, but not really. Like if you have
I
like a Jet,
think
she just goes straight through all the traps, and now she's created space for her team,
I think people
takes
don't
the
play
site.
Cypher right though as well, because the way that a lot of pro teams play, this is strictly ranked. Because in pro matches, people play Cypher a lot better than
Oh yeah,
before,
and like they
or
don't
than
really
ranked.
play Cypher to like stop, like just completely stop
Yeah,
Yeah,
pushes. They
that's
play it to
exactly.
gather
exactly.
intel,
Cypher's been
right?
demolished. Yeah.
Cypher is meant to like like on Haven on A, you put your camera super like deep and short and you spot the push in the beginning and then it's like, okay, I've seen the rush, I've seen three people, I'll just rotate my B players in and everybody shift over to A. And you already have three people on site. But a lot of people would just put all their stuff down on site, keep their camera in the back and just hold the site the entire time and try to lock it down, which kind of works. But like, and people do that with Killjoy too. But what people should be doing is like aggressing, putting their utility in spots where they can spot the enemy that takes the enemy a longer amount of time to get onto the site than for their team to rotate in for the hold. And A Haven is like a super good example because a lot of people will put their camera on site, but you could just walk up long and put it somewhere and not pop it for the first 10 seconds of the round and then pop it. And then it's like, okay, you've just caught them defaulting and now you've caught them rotating over to A to push into the site. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
I feel like
information
people
is
don't
like
play it.
information's so important, and like the
Yeah.
problem is like the difference between ranked and competitive is in competitive people understand that information's important and they communicate information, whereas in
Yeah.
ranked play it's kind of a jungle. It's why duelists are so strong in ranked is like
Yeah.
you walk in, you get like a quick peek, you get a kill, you Reina dismiss out, and like
Yeah.
now you've opened up an opportunity for your team. But it's like in
Yeah.
competitive play, you're using your duelist to entry. You're not using them to get random picks at different points in the map. You're using them to
Well,
create space and like take
that's the
control of
thing.
areas.
In NA, from what I've watched, and like a lot of people say this, people are kind of like the best. Like the reason why there's so many upsets in pro matches right now is there's no like strategy almost. Like there are strats, but it's more or less just like who is the best aim on Jet and who's going like, and you can't predict where they're gonna go push. They're pushing random places every time, which is kind of like yeah, that's a strat in and of itself. But people are just rushing everything and just like seeing okay, who has the better aim here? If we get this pick because I have the better aim, then we have the site pretty much. Like who can catch who off guard? Who has the better aim? But in like it's kind of unrewarding to the teams that are strategic, like Envy and TSM somewhat. Like TSM is like very strategic as well, but not as much as Envy, I'd say. Like those teams are kind of just getting like thrown into the mix of like, okay, yeah, they're kind of top contenders, but strategic wise, they just can't like hang with these people that are just rushing in with like top tier aimers that are just going ape shit every round. Like LG, like Luminosity, they're beating all these teams and they're really, really, really good, but they're mechanically just gifted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which can only take you so far. It's like like it's so inconsistent because there's no meta right now with like how you a game should be played at a high level.
Well, my question to you then, Harry, is that how Valorant is going to be played in the
No.
future? Do you think like that's just kind of how Valorant is? It's different from CS. It's not as strategic. You just run in, you use your abilities to kind of
Uh,
create advantages.
No,
Because
because
like
the mechanical level is like skill ceiling is so low compared to CS. Like when you have it shouldn't be aim dependent. Like they're gonna have to switch something up because and Riot definitely sees this. Like you can't have a game be like the meta be aim dependent. Like who can just hit their shots when the aim dependency like it all depends on who gets the luckiest one tap because you can just
Yeah.
run and gun with a phantom or run and gun with a vandal. Like it's literally
that
just
that
who
has to
hits the
change.
first shot. Yeah, exactly. It's like who hits the first shot and that's it. Like it's all because of this the run and gun like meta, I would say. Like
And
in the future I'd say it's going more tactical. Like if you look at other regions, like Vision Strikers in Korea, Absolute Jupiter in Japan, you can look at a lot of the Brazilian teams. Like the Brazilian teams are just crazy. Like there's no
The
like strict
Brazilians
meta
are
there.
cracked.
Yeah, they're cracked.
isn't what's his name? That like really good Reina player, the one who oh isn't Scream Brazilian?
No, Scream is from Belgium.
Oh, is he? What? Dude,
Yeah,
what? I did not know
Yeah.
that. I did not know that at all. Oh
Scream is
God.
Belgian, bro. Yeah. So
Yikes.
that's like if you look at all these European teams, they're like they're playing a lot more strategic than a lot of these NA teams. Like NA teams are there's just so much talent that people are just trying to brute force everything with talent, and that's it. Like there's definitely strats, but like you don't see people like using like there's no point in gaining early map control in NA sometimes because a lot of teams just do 5-man rushes. Like if you watch First Strike, one of the first Icebox games on like ever played in pro matches, there were 12 A rushes in one round or in one half. 12 A rushes. There was no like, okay, yeah, let's go make presence B and go A. 12 A rushes.
Dang.
Maybe that's just a
And
problem with Icebox, though. Who knows?
yeah, no, I mean, yes, but like at the same time, they lost all 12 rounds. And they said like afterwards, people were saying like, yeah, we scrimmed them and they did that. And we were just laughing because it's like, that's not what you do in a scrim. Like that's what I think like Hayes said that or something like that. Like people I feel like the meta is going to shift eventually. Like there's got to be a huge change soon with all that. Like it can't go on like this much longer. But we'll see.
Also, a big
I
reason
mean,
as to like why we're not maybe seeing a bunch of mechanical stuff instead of a lot of strategies because the game's so new. I mean, like it's been like what, like less than a year, right? The game
Yeah.
just got released. Like I don't know, maybe in the future we'll see people start to really develop some good strategy and like start to kind of outthink their opponents in these competitive matches. But I agree with you right now. Like it feels like a
There's
lot of these matches are kind of dependent on who has the best Sam. And I want to let Grizzy talk because I did cut him off.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like in my opinion, one, I think the matches are pretty interesting to watch. Even though like yeah, there's not maybe as much strategy.
Oh,
It's kind of
there's some
sick.
good strategy. It's very
Like
entertaining.
I think Valorant competitive play is so much fun to watch. Like it's so like it can flip flop all the time. Anyways, Grizzy, I want you to kind of talk a little bit.
I honestly forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh man, give
But
give you all that hype. What?
yeah, bro. I mean, you guys are kind of correct though. It is like literally like when you in ranked and stuff, it's not about like who has the most or the best strategies. Like typically, like I find like what works best is just like when people just all push a site all at once, and like they just flood people with like abilities and stuff.
And who
Um,
has like the best attitude as well. I feel like the games
yeah,
where I get somebody like people that are just like, "Oh, we lost the first 2 rounds, we're fine. Like we got this, guys." Like even if we lose, it's still going to be 12-9. Like the games where I get people that are raging and I'm sure it's the same, it's like 12-3, 12-4.
yeah.
I find that a lot of my
But
games kind of go
Yeah.
like into like either into overtime or they're very close, like pretty often. And it's not because the teams are balanced. Like I don't know why, but there's so many rounds where I just feel like it's kind of like a coin toss, I guess.
Yeah.
I
oh,
don't know.
Definitely.
I was gonna ask, why is this so common? Because like when I first played Counter Strike back in like 2012, everybody had a mic, literally from like low gold Nova all the way up, and they were at least communicating something.
Bro.
And why is it when I'm playing Valorant for literally like I want to say 90% of my matches, sure people have mics, but they don't say anything. Like
I I think it's the
they
opposite. I feel like people
well,
in
it's
CS
because
shouldn't have.
you're playing in higher elo for Valorant right now,
Dude,
but like
I
I
run
want to
into
say
so
literally
many
from like
people.
between like honestly like yeah Diamond 3 down like no one says anything.
I have
See, it's
played way too many matches with people in that elo you're talking about, Grizz, where like 2 to 3 players just don't have mics. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy to me that in like you're in like pretty much high diamond and you just don't have a mic because you're just either A really good at aiming or B I don't know, maybe you're just dual abusing. I have no fucking clue, but like it's ridiculous. There's just
because
too many like
yeah
everyone in diamond and above should be using comms. Everyone.
no yeah 100%. Like I feel
yeah.
like if you're gonna like be up there, you like communication should be one of like the fair factor points on how you should be able to rank up in this game. And it's kind of weird how just based off everything we've said because of the meta, because of the running gun, and like it's just pure gun skill and stuff. and also before everything, the scuffed rank system where it was easy to fly through ranks. Like you just see everyone has to complain that you see people who don't belong in their rank.
Yeah,
Um,
all the
and
time.
I'm just like super confused because honestly, like I mean, for Counter Strike, I thought like Counter Strike was super fair, at least in respects, and like I had a lot more of like a community of like communication, um, compared to like Valorant, where it's just not any of
I don't
that.
know. See, on ESCA, most people had mics, but there was always like that one person that didn't. There's like always like every like week you'd get like probably two people without a mic, but everybody else had a mic.
Yeah,
The only thing was though is in CS, because it was a more diverse game, I'd get more people that were Hispanic, so they were speaking Spanish, and I'd get more people that were French Canadian, and they just wouldn't speak like they would only speak French Canadian.
French.
They'd speak French to their like French Canadian friends, and they were always like duo queued. Whereas here, I get everybody, and they're all speaking English, which is good, but I always get like majority of people have mics, but I always get like one or two people like per day that don't have a mic comparatively. So yeah, I guess less people seem to have mics now, but in the beginning it felt like everybody had a mic. Like for me, when I was like lower ranked and stuff, I thought everybody had a mic. I just thought that was like a prerequisite, and I never met people that didn't. The good thing is though is that there's like some people that you just know that won't have a mic because like you know them because you've played with them before, like especially at my elo because it's like always the same pool of people. But also you can just tell just based on like pregame. Like if nobody, if like they're not speaking and everybody else is speaking, they're not going to speak the entire game probably. Like
Yeah,
it's just
bro.
Oh
usually
yeah,
like
no,
that.
for
But like
sure.
a lot of the times, I wouldn't say like I determine the match is over, but like I hate because like usually first round I'm like we got mics and then silence,
Oh,
crickets,
Yeah.
dude,
and then
what's your guys' intro into a match? Like
Oh.
every game, very beginning, if no one said anything, I always go, "Hey guys, how we doing?"
I always
Every
do.
time.
What's up, gamers?
Oh
Like
I
every
just
time,
god.
I'm just like, "What's going on, gamers? What's poppin'?"
I just say hello. We got mics.
Oh my
I
god.
try to be upbeat and positive and make sure everybody that like is sitting there wants to talk. You know what I mean? I'm not about to say
Yeah.
like hello, like what are you guys playing? Like if there's like two people that I haven't picked and I haven't picked either, I'll be like, hey, what are you guys playing? But like 90% of the time, like as long as like if there's like insta locks, like that's what I'll do. But if there's no insta locks, I'll be like, what's up, gamers? Like what's going on? How are you guys doing? Like how's your night going? How's your day going?
Oh, dude. Okay,
Set the tone.
we're gonna talk real quick about a new subject. I'm wondering if you guys have the same issues. Maybe this will be a quick conversation. But I feel like I get dodges every other match. Like, dude,
Yeah.
there is no penalty for dodging, and it's ridiculous. Like, people will be like, "Ah, I didn't get Reyna, I
Well,
leave." Ooh, like every time. Or
Some days.
I've been seeing it with like Icebox. Like practically a lot of people are so
yeah,
everyone's done with
everyone dodges
Icebox.
icebox. It's
Yeah, I mean,
ridiculous.
like it's a dodge, and then they see it again, and like dodge, and then it kind of like starts a cycle where like people are like, oh, I didn't get my teammates dodge. I don't get my agent dodge. I don't get my map dodge. Um,
I have less of an issue with that on Icebox specifically. I do get a dodge sometimes on Icebox, but it's not all the time. The main thing though is that I'll have like I feel like a lot of people dodge when they see that the team comp is like too bad, like in like the upper elo.
yeah, that's
But
what I used
majority
to
like
do.
sometimes like some days are good and I'll just get an insta queue and I'll go right in. Sometimes I'll wait 20 minutes for a queue or like 10 minutes on average. I'll get a game, I'll be in the game, it'll go to the last second, someone dodges, and then I'll get an insta queue, dodge, insta queue, dodge. The most I've had in a row is 7.
Same, actually. 7 was my exact
Yeah.
number. Yeah, I had 7 matches in a
Hmm.
row. All of them were dodges. And I think okay, well here's the thing, right? This
Yeah.
issue exists in League of Legends. It
Well,
does.
yeah.
Like in Riot's other game, they have the same issue. And it's because there's no real
There's no roll lock.
yeah, there's no real penalty for leaving.
Yeah, I think
Like
the
if you
only
don't like
penalty
something,
is if you dodge on a promotional game, it counts as a loss.
yeah, exactly. And like
That's the only punishment.
that, by the way, to anyone listening, you absolutely should dodge. Like it's a good thing to do for your rank. Like if you're trying to climb, you should be like able to like it's a skill in league, right? Is like being able to recognize when your team comp is just worse than the others and leave. But like I don't know. Like I also kind of have a hard time saying that you should dodge because you should be able to play out of your comfort zone sometimes too. So
Yeah, the issue it just goes back to people insta-locking duelists and duelists being a little too OP in pugs and stuff, and everybody thinking that they're like the duelist pug stars. Like, I get it, people have bad games, but the amount of times that I get people that are like inting on
Or
like
baiting.
Reyna or Jet, yeah, baiting as like Jet or Raze, that's just unacceptable.
That is the worst sin that could ever
I
be
saw
Because
committed.
it's
I
like,
saw a clip yesterday where Steele was like he's like talking about baiting in his stream and he's like, Riot, please just fix this. All of his teammates like he's literally just sitting back, he rotates in for to hit like A on Ascent. All of his teammates were already there like 30 seconds prior and didn't push in. Three of them die. The Brimstone runs back and then just runs to Steele and stares at him, like looking at him like, what's he gonna do next so I can bait him? And Steele's just like, Riot, please. Like it's just like it's irony. It's like the perfect timing. Like there's so many people that just bait. Like nobody's like they want to play these roles that are supposed to go in first, or they want to play these roles, or like any role for that matter. But the people that should be going in first are either going in first like headless chickens, or they're just baiting their heads off. Like everybody's getting baited.
well, my biggest thing, right, is like, dude, like I remember there was a game I played the other day. I'm playing Sova on like Ascent, and we're standing in the middle of a smoke on I believe A main. We're standing in the smoke. We're like ready to go out, and my Jet player is just standing there. My Phoenix player is standing there, and I'm
Yep.
like waiting to shoot the dart. I'm like, all right, guys, when I shoot this, go. And I shoot the dart, and they both just continue to stand there and look at me, and it's ridiculous that people can be even like above like plat and like not understand that like you need to be the one making the first step into a site. And like yes, even if you die, you're still doing a good thing for your team. Your utility is not like that important and you don't have to like save it for like post plant.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't know.
It's an issue at every rank.
But it's like, but like, why? Why is that an issue, right? Because like,
People what just think that kills are skill. People
Yeah,
think that kills are what gets them to rank up.
I mean, it is like at least like in lower elo because there's different standards to getting elo. Like I think like lower ranks it's kills
Yeah,
and abilities, and then I think mid tier it's abilities and clutches that increase your elo, and then I think high is like only clutches and or the win.
I mean,
yeah,
there's no personal like I don't get increased elo for anything at Immortal. Like no in
Yeah,
Immortal, like you don't get
they
increased
just announced like
elo.
at Immortal it's just win loss, but I think
Oh,
for Diamond,
it's been like that since
yeah, but I
like
think for
first out.
Diamond it's like it has to be like clutch situations and the win
Yeah,
loss.
it's
But
your
like
previous. They no, they just changed it, so it's based on your average performance. So if you were to do better than your average, you get more elo.
hmm.
interesting. Damn.
Yeah. So
That was the new change. Actually, that's a change that we didn't even really talk about and for the past
yeah,
2.02. It doesn't even
Yeah.
feel like it's really relevant.
I can't really
But
comment on it because it doesn't affect me, and I haven't been in a position to have to use that. So,
the only
But
thing I
like
notice is like I get like plus 30 minus like
oh,
24. Like that's about it. It's like I slowly climb because I'm not like because I'm
I
lower than where I was last season, right? So
see.
it's
I'm
just
right where my elo is last season, but it doesn't matter how many points in Immortal I have. I always get plus 22, plus 24, plus 26, and I always get minus 22, minus 26, minus 30. It's never anything other than that.
really.
I lose more than I gain.
Yeah,
And
but
it's fine because I go on huge winning streaks, but like
no,
I literally
that's
have
how it
like
should
nine
be.
losses. I have 9 losses in my last like 12 pugs. And I go from 280 rank rating to 46.
That's intentional though. Like
Yeah, yeah.
in the higher ranks, they make it intentionally where you have to actually have a positive win rate in order to hit like radiant.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You can't just like neutral your way up to the top,
Well,
right?
it changes this. Yeah, but it changes the swings in that on a swing, like it should be averaging like the same. Because it's not like I'm getting like a 13-9 win and then I'm getting a 9-13 loss. It could be the same exact people and I'll lose more than I gain, which kind of makes sense. But you should be losing. I feel like there should be a few more conditions as to why you're losing it. It shouldn't be based on them like saying, okay, yeah, we want you to get to your previous rank. Like what happens to the people that were at their previous elo? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like the people that are at their previous elo should kind of be exempt from that in the sense that like Like I'm literally at my previous elo and I'm losing more than I'm gaining every single game. And I could be playing the people that are higher ranked than me and still lose more elo. And they could like I have friends that are way higher ranks than me and they get way more elo per
Mhm.
win than I do. Even if we like same performance, same like people, same everything.
League
It,
used to have
it's
that problem pretty hard
it's a
with like
really
a hidden
it's a
MMR
scuff
system.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was like if your hidden MMR was way like lower than where your actual rank was, you would just you couldn't climb. Like you would get like
Yeah.
plus 12 and then minus 20 like every match, and it was just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like you couldn't do anything. And I don't know if they have that system in Valorant. It's kind of hard to say. Like they're not
The
very
system
clear.
is like, yeah, they're not clear, and like they just like going back to everything. Um, it's super inconsistent, so we don't know what the hell to think because they're always changing the rank system. And then
Yeah.
going picking back all the way to the beginning, like all the basic player thinks is kills equals higher MMR.
Yeah.
Um, and like that's why like that's all people care about is kills, kills, kills for what's it called
For more
uh,
elo.
for more
Like for
elo, and
winning.
that's why people are
Well,
baiting and stuff.
and that's like the same thing at like higher ranks. I feel like a lot of people are just like kills win games. Like if the kill is gonna no rounds win games, but people
Yeah.
think it's like kills win rounds. They
But
do,
that's because like opening picks win rounds, and opening picks
but
are kills, and opening picks win
people
games.
but people are taking it like I got the first two picks. How are you losing this? It's like you got the first two picks, you died, and then the enemy team rotated into site and you lost bomb. Or you know what I mean? Like people are making these like there's no team play. It's just people going out and getting kills like at half the time. You can't expect team
Uh,
play in ranked fully, but like I feel like the rank system is either it's too compressed. Like there needs to be
Like another rank maybe in between. Like
not another rank. I think it's just people are so attached to their current ranks. Like and yeah, another rank might help it. Because like you can't push everybody down the ladder, you know what I mean?
I want another tier, like plat
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Like that's what I want. I think that'd be good.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would be
I
interesting.
wanted, yeah, I wanted everything to be boosted up to like league, whereas like all the way up to 4 or 5 tiers.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think you
Just
should
so you can
spend more time.
diversify the pool, because at least um with like earlier, there's people like in Immortal 1 to like Diamond 1 last season or last act, like that you like they were playing like plats, but I think it's because it was so volatile of like a ranking system that like it was so easy to go up and down that there wasn't like an average like skill barrier. Like it was just a whole like diluted pool, a cesspool of just like randomness.
Well, my big thing, right, is like like okay, honestly, can someone tell me the difference between a D1 and a D3 player? Give me one like thing that's different
No,
between the two. There is none. They're pretty much the
it's
same
just
player,
who got lucky.
right?
Yeah.
And like the problem with our current rank system is it's too volatile and not
Yeah,
like okay, the best way I could explain it is going back to League, right? You can tell like there's certain like markers that makes a good player at different ranks. Like in gold, your mechanics are okay, right? And your CS is good, but like you still don't have a good understanding of the map. In platinum, it's like okay, you starting to kind of get it, but you don't. And then in
but
diamond, it's like okay, now you kind of get it, but now you need to work on your mechanics a bit more, and so on and so forth, right? It's like and by the way,
well,
that example isn't really accurate, but like that's just kind of what I'm
but the
kind of
thing
using.
is League is like a solved game in the sense that like there is role lock. Like you can't have two junglers. It's always ADC, support, mid, top, jungle. Yeah, you can do some crazy, quirky shit and have like funnels. You could run two junglers, I guess. You could run Ivern support and then somebody else in jungle or something.
But that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, but like in like Valorant, there's no and obviously there's CS and everything like that. There's 3 lanes in like League, like there's all this stuff. But in Valorant, there's only aim and then agents. There's no like set way to play one map because like the way one person might play a map, like all right, let's default and then do this, might be completely contradicted by another way that like another person that goes, all right, yeah, we're gonna rush up here with 4 people and then we're gonna have our lurk just go hit this.
But my biggest gripe is that the rank system is too volatile to the point where you can't really distinguish what like
Yeah,
how good a
No,
player
no,
is
I,
between the ranks.
that's because there's so much volatility in play styles
yeah.
and they're like
Yeah.
It would be more if everything was solo duo from every single rank downward, and then there was also like a flex queue. I feel like ranks would be a little better because there's so many people at the lower ranks that are just getting 5-man boosted. It was like that for the first like week, trying to get to immortal or whatever. Like it was literally just 5 queues, 5 Q, 5 Q, 5 Q of like pros, and none of them like half. Oh, there's a lot of pros that are still like Diamond 3, immortal,
Yeah.
like just hit immortal. Like they're like some people are going down to D3, D2.
No, I was playing with Still when he was stuck in D3, and that was an unfortunate match. But yeah, like it's such a whack system.
Yeah, it is a whack
Um,
system, and there's just no solution. Like it's just too. It's not a solved like you couldn't train AI to play the game like you could to make them play League or Dota. Like there's open AI that plays Dota. Like there are ways, like more efficient ways to play those games. But this game, because there's so many, like you can't go into a game knowing like, okay, we're gonna do this, this, and this because they have this agent, this agent, this agent. Like there's no like, you know what I mean? Like there's no like champ select in League. Like you see what the other team is playing.
like a pick ban system.
Yeah, like there's nothing like
Dude,
that.
with that,
No,
I
I
actually would
don't want to
love. I
pick.
would love a pick ban system.
They need to have at
We need
least
more
4 agents, 4 to
Yeah,
6
no,
agents.
no,
No,
I said,
no
no,
pick ban yet, though.
I agree on that, but I'm saying
Yeah.
later they should definitely do.
I
pick
think
ban.
it should be a pick system where you can see who picks what, and you can pick anybody. There's no ban. Maybe there's like 2 bans
I want
or
to be
like
able
1
to
ban.
like. Okay, when
One
there's more
ban would
agents,
be
I think a
sick.
pick system would actually be kind of cool, and like it brings some more kind of strategy to the game. So it's not like everyone's running the same comp, right?
I think
Because
no,
it's
no. I think
like,
a pick system is fine with no bans, so you can tailor your comp to what the enemy team is running. So you see
yeah,
like because then there's a little strategy of like, oh, they picked their duelist first. Let's pick our duelist, or let's pick our sentinel because they've already picked Jet. We're gonna pick Killjoy, so now they can't counter our Cipher trips. You know what I mean? Like, and vice versa. You pick Cypher first, they're gonna pick Jet, or they're picking Raze. Like I feel like that would add a lot more depth to it and make it so people are less likely to. There's no insta locks if it's like a pick system where
yeah.
it just goes right down the line, and you have like preference maybe or something. I don't know.
Also, a big thing that would probably get solved, right, is like, let's say like in a pick system, the other team picks Jet first, right?
Yeah,
You're not gonna like you don't you now you're like, great, I'm not gonna play Cipher. I get to play Killjoy, right?
yeah,
Because it's like, why would I play Cypher and a Jet? Or vice versa. You get a Jet on your team, you're like, great, they can't pick Jet. I'm gonna play Cypher. Now Sight's way easier to lock down. It provides a lot of like strategy, but the problem is there's not enough agents in the pool right now. Because like in theory, right, one team could pick both Brim and Omen, and it's like, okay, well now what? What are we gonna do now, right? Like we don't have a controller that we can reasonably
yeah. There
play.
can't be a ban. There can't be a ban on that until there's like 6 controllers, 6 duelists, 6 initiators, 6
Yeah,
sentinels.
All right,
I'm just saying I would love it.
I think it'd make the game really fun. When we get to that point. I
I
want to
think
talk about
it's fixed the insta locking, but that's all I'm gonna say on that.
I want to talk about one last subject before we kind of wrap up for today. And that's just like if you guys could kind of like change anything, right? Not like about like gun meta, like we talked about, like the frenzy and stuff like that. If you guys could change something, like what would it be? Because like right now, I would change Viper and I would make her a viable controller. Like I would make it where you could fucking like
All right.
retract her wall or something like that, so that way she could actually be played and put onto maps as like a controller pick for your
I
team.
would make it so her wall is that like a Brim iPad where you could trace where the wall goes, or I'd make it so it's like a Phoenix wall where you could curve it
Oh really?
for Viper specifically. But and this is kind of like changing something, but not really. I would add a controller where it's like you throw smokes, like it's like Viper, you throw your smokes, so it's like a little harder to play. But say the smokes last the same amount as Brim, and he gets like recharging smokes or something like that.
You know
So
what'd be
you have to
cool?
know lineups, but they last as long as Brim, but you can't just toss them anywhere. You know what I mean? Like you only get 2 at a time, they refresh or something like that, or you get 3 at a time.
So hear me
I
out
don't
here,
know.
right? What if
Yeah.
you gave Viper an extra smoke? I don't know
I,
exactly how you'd be able to
yeah,
do
I've
that.
thought of that because, but yeah, there's just no way to do it,
I mean,
right?
kind of.
Like
I mean, like, cause like right now, right? Like,
They would just both pull up at
it'd
the
have to
same
be like
time.
Killjoy where you'd have, yeah, it's either they both go up at the same time or they both like, you have to
Ooh,
like point at them like
I like
Killjoy.
that. I like that a lot. Where it's like you could activate them like you do with Killjoy, and then you could kind
Yeah.
of.
But there's a lot of issues with that too, and I've like been experiencing it myself when I play her. Like a lot of people have been complaining like when you look at like when you're playing Killjoy on Ascent on B site and you go to hit the switch and you have your mollies at the door, you hit the same key to do both. You know what I mean? Like it just pops your mollies.
Maybe there's like a maybe there's like a way that I mean that's like a problem
That's like a
Riot needs to
control.
fix.
Yeah, that's like a well, that's the change that I'm talking about. Though, like that's like a change that I think needs to be implemented is agent specific like binds and stuff like that. And there needs to be a way like binds for popping like Viper or sorry, Killjoy mollies. Or what's another agent that has stuff like that?
Cipher traps.
Yeah, Cypher Trap. Sorry, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, that's like the only two. But yeah, that needs to be changed. Like,
Yeah,
so you, that
but
way you don't have to be looking at your trap and you can pop it, and that way you can actually close the door and not worry about popping your mollies in an important round. And
oh, actually, dude, if I could change anything to about this game like at all, I'd add a
yeah.
replay system. I think we need a
Oh well,
replay
yeah,
system.
That'd be nice.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one.
As soon as we get a replay system, I actually see Valorant like becoming a way more popular game because more content gets created when you add a
Yep.
Yeah.
replay system.
And more
That's important.
quality content.
True.
More
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
So are we all on the same page though? Like we all agree that a controller is the next agent that needs to be added no matter what. Like
Absolutely, there needs to be some.
yeah,
some
the controllers are too niche. But the problem with that is like Riot thinks like having too many smokes, like there's gonna be an oversaturate, like eventually a comp of like too many smokes, because they've articulated that, and but
They said that's a fear, but they're gonna get to that when they get to that.
yeah,
'Cause, like
yeah,
worst
they're
case
gonna
scenario.
have to, they're gonna have to, because we're not gonna have Omen and Brim and Viper for the rest of our lives.
Well, here's the thing, right? Is like when you add another controller and stuff like that, and then like there develops like a meta, then you can kind of be like, yo, you know what, Omen, you're kind of like your smokes are too strong for how this is working. We'll just kind of like we'll make it so that there's a longer cooldown on how fast you can regen a smoke, and now like that kind of solves part of that, but you can't figure out what to do before it actually gets implemented. That's like
What
you
about-
can't read the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah,
what about another Sentinel?
I'd
What
like
would-
another
I love
Sentinel.
that. I love that
But
because
what would you think they could do though?
The problem is you don't
Oh,
want another
no.
stall meta, right?
I honestly like. I
think they
guess
need
not
to-
another Sentinel, but maybe like as weird as it is, like already start like reworking how some abilities work. Like Cypher's trips are like just way too predictable. If they can somehow like you can somehow find a way to like bend it around
Yeah.
corners and stuff like that. So it becomes because like literally every time someone goes through a doorway or something, they just approach it slowly, wait till they can get in vicinity, then shoot it out.
Maybe
they
like
need
an
to
alt
make it-
fire mode where you could place each side of the trip independently.
Yeah,
be kinda
exactly.
cool.
They need to like they just need to rework a sentinel, like a little bit of all the sentinels in some sort of way.
Well,
Or just like
I
something
think
that's
Killjoy's actually
interesting-
fine.
Yeah, oh no, I think they're all fine. I think the thing is though is that other agents are just overpowered and they still need their nerf. But like something that interesting that I've been thinking about is like kind of like how they add Yoru as the lurking duelist. Like duelist isn't meant to just be the entry frag. Like it is also meant to be kind of like a lurker. What if they add a sentinel that's specifically meant for lurking, or a sentinel that's specifically meant for, say, controlling? Like Sage is good for controlling, but she's more of a healer. What if they added somebody that's like that
Okay.
has stuff that like a utility that couldn't be shot, but it didn't do damage and it didn't like you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Actually, you
I
just
don't know.
reminded me of something really important about the design philosophy at Riot. They don't want to put any agents in the game that do the same job as other agents. The reason why Cypher is the way he is because he's supposed to be the agent that gathers intel. He's supposed to be the one that's like putting his trips on the flanks and like finding out where the enemy is depending on like, you know, certain circumstances, like where his camera's placed or if someone walks through his cage. And
Yeah.
Killjoy is supposed to be the one who locks down sites. She's supposed to be the one who locks down an area and makes it really hard for enemies to push through.
Yeah.
Sage is the one who kind of stalls and can like kind of lock and can kind of like she's like the stalling one. She's the one who like has her utility placed and it's just supposed to stop an immediate push. So
Yeah.
the next Sentinel, what are they supposed to do, right? Because you don't want it to be like what Killjoy does, because otherwise
Well, I think it's
now
meant to be a lurking one. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
no.
Like,
a
because a lot of
lurking
people
sentinel.
lurk. Yeah, because like you could have a sentinel that could have like a sky bird or something like that that you could put up in the sky, and like you just let it go, and it goes on
And
like a
it
track, and it
scans like
gives
a
you the
Sova dart, dude.
no, but
Like an
not like a
Ash,
Sova
like an
dart. No,
Ash
but it like
freaking bird.
Arrow from
like
fucking
Yeah,
straight
League, yeah.
down.
yeah, that
And
was
it could be
sick.
shot, but like it's so high up in the air, or like whatever, like you could put it on whatever trajectory, and it just goes, and you don't have to worry about it, and you could just see like, okay, that person's down there, that person's down there. It's still, you can still hide from it. Maybe you can hear it because you hear like a little caw or something like that.
I think we should probably leave the design to the Riot team because I think
Oh
they.
yeah, for sure.
But
But I'm just saying like that could be something that they do because that's not done by any of the other agents where they're gathering, except Sova, but like something that allows you to gather intel
without
from
you being
something
there,
actively without you active or
Yeah,
while you're
yeah.
actively doing something else.
No,
But
I can
at
agree
the
on that.
cost of not having as much utility for, say, zoning an area or controlling an area, which
yeah.
the Sentinels are really good at.
So
But they're still a Sentinel.
what do you guys think then? Do you guys want another controller or another Sentinel? Because I want another controller personally.
I want another controller.
I've been
I think
mostly a
Viper's too
Sentinel
weak.
main since like I've been working with a
The
lot of
CSU
these-
team.
Yeah, the CSU team.
I'm a
Like
Sentinel
when I
main
was
now.
working with my buddies, because that
Oh,
was
yeah?
just a fill position. I don't know. Sentinel's got a soft spot in my heart.
I like the
But-
Sentinels.
And we've
I don't
gotten
know.
Killjoy, right? Like
Yeah, but
Killjoy's like the
she
new
just-
agent, right?
She was cool until they nerfed her. Like the vicinity nerf, like messed up my playstyle with her like massively.
Yeah, but
She's
she was
like-
doing what Cypher was doing too well.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
where it's
I used her
like-
for intel. Yeah, which was like.
But that's like what you're supposed to use Cypher for, so it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's like it was. It's an understandable nerf, but definitely like they definitely just went back on their word, literally just immediately. Like they just launched the character, and then the next patch over, they nerfed her.
I want a Viper rework. That's what I want, man.
But what would you do for like a
she needs a
controller?
rework for sure.
What like if there was a new controller, like what would they do? Like yeah, I feel like they
Okay.
need to rework Viper before any of that, but like
So a new controller, right? Maybe. Okay, well let's think about like what the roles of the current controllers are, right? Except for Viper, because she's not
one-way smokes.
like a one-way Oh, maybe like
a mirror, like a one-way mirror wall that they can put up, kind of like in Rainbow Six.
oh that'd
Bro,
be kind of.
I was saying, literally make the dome, like having a dome smoke. Like you can't shoot through it. So if you enter it, you're either battling it out with someone in that smoke, or you're battling it outside of the smoke.
Wait, that's huge. Yeah,
Isn't that just a wall with extra steps?
So many.
it's
Yeah,
a wall, but you could pass through it. It's like
So you could
permeable
walk
by
through it.
humans. but
Yeah,
you
because
can't
the
shoot
problem
through
with like a lot of people have is literally just getting gunned down through a smoke, because a lot of like the places that get smoked
Yeah.
are narrow hallways. So like, how do you beat that? Well, you make a smoke where like if you're gonna shoot someone through that, you have to either be inside or outside of it, and like both parties have
I
to be
think
inside or out.
if they were to do that though, it'd be a little too OP. They'd have to make the smoke opaque, and they'd have to make it only last like 5-10 seconds. Like it'd have to be like a jet, like a pre-nerf jet smoke, like 8 seconds, 10 seconds.
Okay, what
And
about?
so-
I just
you
think
can
that
see.
I think that's what's needed, because it's like at least almost every game you hear someone say in the chats, "Oh my god, they shot me through smoke."
Yeah.
It would be nice to have like something like favorable, so someone doesn't have to complain about that, because it feels like it's all way too common these days.
What were you
I
saying,
don't know.
Caleb?
I personally, man, I think either one, a controller who does smokes differently from the other ones. Like maybe instead of it being like a shape of like a circle, what if they did something
Like a
where it's like you could
square.
like
Pyramid.
actually though, what if you could like place a smoke at like head level or something like that?
Like a line, like
Like a
you're
line.
lining somebody.
Kind of. I feel like that'd be kind of interesting. Now,
Like
maybe
my
broken,
God, like
maybe
no,
broken,
like
but
smog,
whatever.
like smog, like it like everybody's feet are exposed.
Yeah,
but it's like the
but their
Viper hole,
heads-
but like high up.
Yeah, maybe that could be kind of sick. But like that might be too strong. And like maybe you could place that and it would have like a shorter like time that it's down than the other
I
smokes,
think-
and maybe that's
I
just
think
something that you trade off.
the mirror smokes or like a one-way smoke would be big, because then it prevents like then more people would be like, because there's a use for that, and it's like a unique smoke. And maybe they have 2 sets of smokes, like one that's a normal smoke that lasts like say 7 seconds, and one that's a one-way smoke that lasts 7 seconds. They're weak smokes, but they have 6 smokes.
That'd be kind of
Like,
cool. Although
Yeah, I mean that again, we got to leave the designing to Riot, but I feel like there's some speculation to like we can
All
always
right.
speculate like what they could do because like you said, like they don't want two people to do the same job.
The big thing is I just want okay, you know what? Fucking new controller. Rework Viper, make it so she can retract her smoke from any distance, and make it so she can pull up her goddamn wall. There we go. She's fixed. She's actually a good controller now.
And make it so she can curve her wall. I think that's the biggest one.
Maybe. I think her current
The
wall is really strong.
infinite distance, not infinite distance, but the super like long distance wall is pretty chill because like you can take out like all the big spots with her wall single handedly. Like mid on Haven, you could wall it all off, or you could wall off literally a whole site with Viper staying, especially since it can go through walls. Like I
No,
don't think
it's
you
true.
really need to curve it.
I mean, there's like a nasty split Viper
Retractability
wall
would
that
be
you could
good.
do, where it literally cuts off like ramps, it cuts off heaven, and it also cuts off screens. Like you actually could not ask for more. And like that's just with a straight
Yeah.
wall.
But like I feel like the
Curving it
problem
might
with
be too
like
good.
giving someone too much control like Viper is like practically she has multiple, like she has the wall and then she has her smoke. It ends up being a lot of issues for teams because they don't know how to work around a Viper wall. Like when teammates like approach a site and they have that Viper wall, they're like, and people start complaining like, "Why you put up the Viper wall?"
You know we've
Because
never
they don't know how to
seen
work around
What
it.
have- what have we
a
never seen?
Viper versus Viper like comp matchup. I've never seen like a two teams play Viper
Counter
into
walls,
Viper.
dude.
Like I've
Imagine
actually never
counter
thought of
walling.
that.
You know, it'd be
That'd be
interesting if you
what?
did change Viper to be much more of like a controller, someone who can kind of lock down areas with like smokes and stuff.
Yeah.
You could just revert some of her previous changes if she's too strong. Like
100%.
Like, okay, because like my biggest issue with Viper is she doesn't do her job. She's not a controller. She's like a weird sentinel, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so
I
like,
mean she is a controller because she does have that ability to smoke off areas and control like keep people back. It's just that the wall is too like thin almost. Like people can it's like it's so tempting to just go I'm going to walk through this. It's a wall. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't have threat,
there's
especially
no
it doesn't
oh,
bleed
dude,
you
what?
out fast enough.
Imagine
Or
if they made the
hit
wall
you.
thicker. That'd be weird.
yeah, made it so you have to take a step into it instead of
Yeah.
just being able to go right through it instantly.
Like you know
That
how
could be
like if
so
you're stepping through like an omen smoke, there's like that. There's like a moment where like you kind of can't see anything, and then
yeah.
until you step out, like something like that, but for Viper wall, would be kind of sick.
Yeah, because it's like whenever I find I'm playing against a Viper, it's like which side of the wall are you on? I'm never on the side that I'm supposed to be on. I'm always on the inside of the wall, and it's not blocking any of my cover.
Hmm.
Like maybe there just needs to be more creative Viper setups, like bind or split or anything. Like I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Maybe Viper. What if Viper's like meta soon? They changed running guns and it makes it so people can't just sprint out of smokes.
Maybe,
And they
dude. Who knows?
yeah
Everything's kind of compounding
everything's
in this game.
collecting.
Every
Everything's connected.
one thing changes, everything else changes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do like a quick little summary, and then we'll start to wrap it up for this session. We talked a little bit about running and gunning. We talked about high ranked play. We talked a little bit about agent
Economy,
balance, economy,
stingers.
stingers. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to go reference this. And in the video, I will have some segmented time so you can kind of just go through and look at whatever we were talking about at different moments. Um, but unless you guys have any closing thoughts, I think I'm gonna wrap up. Do you guys have anything you want to say?
Watch Valorant Champions Tour next week.
Hell yeah.
Yo.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'll be rooting for my boy. His name's Azez. If anyone's watching this before that,
Yo,
actually
link the
ends up
team,
learning
We're
link the
going
team
out.
name.
We're going out first round.
Ooh, all right, man.
Yo, link the team name.
Oh yeah. What's the team name, Harry? Give me the acronym.
that's-
You don't have to say it out loud if you don't want.
There's it's between two. It's one of them.
give me
probably
the
shouldn't just say
second
it.
one. Give me the second.
The second one is Huge Ass Construction.
Ah, nice. What's the first one?
is you can just say
And we're out of time for today.
Post nut clarity.
Post nut clarity. Jesus.
It was
Anyways.
Huge Ass Construction. Yeah. So.
We're gonna be wrapping up this podcast now. Thank you for anyone who did decide to watch. Really appreciate it. I'll be trying to put out more content like this in the future and trying to get more guests on and whatnot. And we'll see how well this goes. But for now, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.